SEGA Saturn SHIRO.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the SHIRO Editor's Corner, a completely new and unscripted series of mini-casts with your hosts Dave and Peter. Come join your elder SHIROs as we reminisce on our favorite Saturn memories in this new and nostalgia-packed podcast series. Hey everyone, this is Saturn Dave, and I've got Peter with me. How's it going, Peter?
Pretty good. How are you doing, my friend?
It's actually been a really overwhelming work week. I'm not going to lie. Been really, really busy, and we're getting ready for PRGE. So there's a lot of irons in the fire for that, things that need to get done. But, I can't complain. I'm really excited to be doing this podcast with you because it's a fun one we have planned. And we were supposed to record last week, but poor Peter, you got sick. So, I'm just glad that you're feeling a little better and able to do this.
Yeah, just caught a bit of a really nasty cold and, it kind of took my voice out for a lot longer than I thought it would. And so we're a little bit late recording this one, but just glad that we're finally able to sit down to do it. So excited about that.
Absolutely. Well, the reason I say I'm excited for this, and this is going to be like a fun one, because rather than, our usual talking about our memories of something specific or covering a specific game, we've decided to do a pop quiz this time. Both Peter and I like to think of myself as someone who knows a fair bit about Saturn. And I don't think I know anyone else. There are other folks out there, but Peter knows a ton about Saturn, so wouldn't it be a great idea if we both prepare like a set of 10 questions, and we take it in turns to pop these quiz questions on each other and see how we do. Okay. And, I don't even have a scorecard lying around or anything, but maybe we'll do that in post. Do you have a piece of paper or something?
I'm sure.
I could probably write it on my phone. I didn't even think about that. Check it off if it's something that you are able to answer. And then if it's not, then I'll just leave it on there.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I've got my questions ready. Some of them are, I think, fairly straightforward. And some of them you'd really have to know the sort of meat and potatoes of the Saturn to answer. So I'm kind of excited to see how this plays out.
Okay, yeah, and in full disclosure, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some of these wrong, I'm not that confident that I know everything about Saturn, but I think that it would be just interesting to see what you come up with, and vice versa. So, we'll see how this goes, and here's the rule. The only rule is you prepare these 10 questions. We're going to take it, you and me, one after another, and then we're allowed to either answer the question outright if we think we have the answer, or we're allowed to ponder the answer and kind of, come to an educated guess, I would say, based on information that we kind of have rattling around in our brain. But if we really know that we don't know the answer, then we just concede to that and you give us the answer, or I give you the answer.
Yep.
And when we can talk about it a little bit, we can discuss. Okay. So would you like me to go first?
How about I start us off?
Why not? Go ahead.
Okay, Dave, this is the first one. You should be able to get this, I hope, if you kind of give it some thought.
The pressure is on now.
Which third-party publisher put out the most games on the Saturn in North America?
Which third-party publisher put out the most games?
Like Sega put out the most, of course, because it was their horse. But which third-party publisher in North America would have put out the next highest amount?
Am I allowed to look at my collection? You know what? Would you believe that I don't know that off the top of my head? I'm going to guess, okay? I'm going to guess Acclaim.
And you are correct.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Wow. Okay.
And they were closely followed by Electronic Arts, EA Sports, but Acclaim was number one. So
we'll see, because they didn't really mind what they put out there, right?
Oh, right. They put out some really great games, and then they put out some not so great games. These are the guys that put out Galactic Attack and Darius Gaiden, and they're also the guys that put out The Crow. So wow, they covered the spectrum. So yeah, Acclaim is definitely the right answer. So 1 point for you.
Yay! I got one right. Okay, next question. In March of 1995, Sega of America CEO Tom Kalinski announced the launch date for Sega Saturn. What was that announced date, and what was the actual date of Saturn's launch?
Okay, so the announced date I would think was Saturn Day, and that was going to be in September of 95. Oh, which day in September? It's either the 2nd or the 9th.
Bingo.
Is it the 2nd?
September 2nd,
Okay.
1995.
And then the date that it actually ended up being was, of course, May 11th, 95.
You got it. It's out there. Yes.
Oh,
May 11th, 1995. It's
okay.
out there. You got it. Excellent.
Right.
So, I mean, everybody knows by now, this is like probably the most cliche story in Saturn history is the Saturn Day planned launch and then the early surprise launch at E3 95.
Yes, they surprised themselves right into a bad launch situation. That's for sure.
Okay, your turn.
Okay. All right. What would you say? Which game would you say? This is a little tougher. Which game would you say was the first appearance of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Saturn?
The first appearance of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Saturn. Okay. I think at one point I would have been tempted to say Sonic Into Dreams on the Christmas Nights demo, but I know that's not true. He appears in Bug?
He does.
But it's not even that?
There's something even earlier than that.
Even earlier than that Sonic appears in.
Bug's a great guess, because that was his second appearance, so...
Oh, that was his second appearance. Okay, so I gotta go way back. Was he in a stall?
No.
Oh, I think I gotta concede this one.
Okay, so we're gonna have to dig into the Japanese library for his very first appearance.
Okay, here's the deal. This is rattling somewhere in the back of my brain because I think you told me this one time, but go ahead.
So it was in a 1994 game called Gale Racer.
Oh, that counts? Yes, you're right. That actually did release. You know what? I even was thinking about that. The little key,
That's all it was. Yeah,
keychain thing.
That's right.
And I didn't realize that came before Bug.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess you're right. Okay. Yeah.
So that was kind of
okay. That counts against me though. You can't give me that point. Yeah. So Gale Racer, excellent.
It's a bit of a
that's
question.
or Radmobile, right? Radmobile.
That's right. Yeah, you got it.
You ever watch Encino Man? Okay, so here's the next one. Question number 2. Sony's infamous response to Saturn's surprise launch was a simple price quote of $299, undercutting Sega by $100. Who said $299?
Oh, I want to say Steve Race.
Yes.
Oh.
Steve Race. And who was Steve Race?
Wasn't he their the head of their... Oh, come on, Peter.
This is bonus. You got the answer correct. But for bonus points, who was Steve Race before Sony?
Oh my goodness. I should know this, and as soon as you say it, I probably will say, oh, of course. And I'm drawing a blank right now.
He was Sega's...
Was he like a VP at Sega? I can't remember.
Marketing. Sega of America.
That's right. Of course he was.
And he jumped ship and went over to the enemy.
To Sony,
and then dropped the $299 price. He was president of Sony.
Yes.
President of Sony of America. Yes, isn't that funny? But you got that right because you did say Steve Race.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
Good job. Peter's got 2 and I've got 1. So far you're ahead.
So I'm not sure that I actually made my questions in any sort of like ascending order of difficulty. So there might be some that are tougher, some that might be easier. But here's one that I think you're probably going to get. So there were only 2 Saturn games out of the entire world library that utilized a combination of CD and ROM cartridge. So I'm not talking about RAM expansion like 1 megabyte, 4 gigabyte. I'm talking about actual ROM dedicated cartridges. What 2 games were they?
Well, I think one was King of Fighters 95.
That's right. Yes, that was one of them.
I think the other one was Ultraman.
It sure was. Yeah, you got it. Absolutely, yeah. And King of Fighters 95 came out in Japan as well as in Europe, whereas Ultraman was exclusive to Japan only. But yeah, those were the only 2 games that used both CD and cartridge at the same time. So
and it was a ROM cart, like you said, so it actually had game data on
Correct.
it. And so without that, game
game
just
won't
wouldn't
run.
run.
Yeah, and it had textures and other things in there so that load times would be reduced, so that it would be nice and playable, and that's about it. But yeah, those were the two games that took advantage of that sort of multimedia setup.
Cool. Okay. Wait. So is it 2-2 right now? Yeah, because I've only asked. Okay, so yeah, it's neck and neck right now, but you're about to overtake, right?
Well, we'll
Okay.
see. We'll see.
Question.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Question 3 for Peter. Who was the principal designer for the Sega Saturn hardware?
Well, I would have to say that would be Hideki Sato.
Ding, 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 ding.
Good. Right
Yep.
on. Yeah, he
You got it.
designed most of Sega's hardware, didn't he? Like, what a guy. And he ended up becoming the president of Sega in the early 2000s just for a short little while. So, yeah,
Exactly.
props to him
Good.
for
See,
sure.
yeah, I'm starting easy for you, and then we're gonna ramp up the difficulty. But okay, so Peter's sitting at 3. I'm still behind at 2. So go ahead, hit me with the next one.
All right. This one has to do with cartridges as well. It's a little bit tougher, though. What single Western game, both released in Europe and North America, was actually compatible with the 4 megabyte cartridge? Now, I will say this, though, it's not advertised on the box or anywhere else because the 4 megabyte cartridge was never released in North America. But nevertheless, if you've got one and you plug it into your Western Saturn and pop in this game, the cartridge will work. Do you know what game that is? That's a tough one.
And when you say it will work, you mean that it will render some kind of enhanced functionality?
Correct, yes.
I do not know the answer, but I'm going to take an educated guess. Is it Marvel Superheroes?
That is correct.
Wow. Okay.
That is the game. Well done.
I actually did not know that. I thought, that's got to be my best chance, because I know that the game in Japan uses the expansion cart. So I figured, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep. So the code was
Cool.
left in. So of course it's not advertised on the box. It doesn't say anything about it in the manual or anything like that, but it will work. It does add some animations that had to be cut if you don't have the cartridge. So yeah, you get a better experience if you use the 4 megabyte expansion cartridge with Marvel Superheroes. So well done, Dave.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. 3-3. Am I right? I think so.
Oh yeah.
I'm kind of just keeping score as we go, but I'm not writing it down. Okay. So number 4 for Peter. Here it comes. When it comes to the US Longbox Saturn games, what one publisher had a reputation for supplying its own cheap materials to save a buck rather than sourcing them from SOA as other publishers did?
Oh my gosh, that would have to be Acclaim.
You're right.
Yeah,
It is.
And I will not forget the first time I bought it. Came in MK2 and it came in
The blister?
Darius Gaiden, I think.
Yeah.
And there were, I'm sure, others. And I remember opening and thinking, what the heck is this? And it was this flimsy, cheap piece of plastic. And anyways, I've personally replaced all of mine.
Right.
Because I just can't handle them. But yes.
Yeah. How do you feel? Doesn't
fun.
that make you... I feel conflicted about that, because like half of me is like, no, that's not accurate. That's technically you've made this copy not accurate. How would this be graded by WADA? No, but not really though. But at the same time, I'm like, I just can't deal with those cheap injected molded like blister pack, backing inserts. Those things are so, and it's not even just that. It's the paper. They wouldn't use paper that was to code. They would use this really cheap paper stock that would oxidize much faster than any other Saturn games on your shelf. So all the Acclaim titles are yellow. If you look at them, they all need to be retrobrighted, which I don't think works on paper. Well, I mean, technically it does. It's called leaving it in the sun and having it bleached. But no, yeah. If you look at your long boxes, if you happen to live in North America, you'll see that many of the Acclaim titles have gone yellow a lot sooner. Yeah. As a result.
And like I said, I've replaced all of mine, but in retrospect, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Like I've made them less authentic, but the way I kind of justify it to myself is the actual official sort of disc trays, they hold that paper backing in place a lot better. So that's how I'm justifying it to myself.
Yeah, I justify it as this is what Sega wanted you guys to do, and you didn't do
Yeah,
it.
fair.
So,
Yep,
so,
that's
okay,
absolutely fair.
you got it. You're ahead again.
Okay, well, I'm gonna ask you one, and this is kind of one of my tougher ones. Ugh. Okay.
Okay, I'm going
All
to try
right,
real
Dave.
hard. Got to think.
What was the last year that brand new and not like new old stock, but just brand new Saturns were sold at retail anywhere in the world?
I want to say that it was 2001. I'm guessing. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. So the answer that I've got is 1999.
Okay.
So the last Saturns were actually produced in 1998. That was the last time that they rolled off the production lines. But then Sega released a Derby Stallion Skeleton Saturn set in 1999, late March actually, to coincide with that game coming out. So there was a special pack where you could buy a Saturn, a Derby Stallion Saturn, um, along with the game in March of '99. So that was the last time that they were actually in retail.
Mm.
It wasn't like new old stock or anything like that.
So, but like
So
Tectoy didn't continue pumping out Saturns into the 2000s in Brazil.
believe it or not, no,
Okay.
they didn't.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that one I didn't
99
know. 99.
was the end of the line for that. So I know, it's surprising because with the Dreamcast, it went on for years and years and years after you would think it
Right.
did, but not so with the Saturn. So
wait, with the set, you know what I think though kind of confuses me on that one. I'll admit is that in Japan they continue to publish games into the 2000s for the
they sure
Saturn.
did. Yeah.
But you're right, the hardware itself,
Yeah.
they didn't probably need any more Saturns because the install base was already there and not many more people were going to be picking up new ones. So yeah, okay, wah wah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. So
That was a tough one, but I'm glad. Hey, now I know.
yeah.
The more you know. Okay, so number 5 to Peter. In the classic 1996 game Nights into Dreams, what words does Riala exclaim at the introduction of his boss battle?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I almost feel like this is a trick question. And I also feel that if I don't get this, I need to massively hang my head in shame because this is my favorite
Yes, you do.
video game of all time.
This is no trick question.
Okay, so here's how I'm going to answer it. For a long time, I thought that he said something along the lines of, there is no nights. But I also recall reading interviews with, I can't remember who now, so there's some obscure fact that's coming to my mind right now, that he doesn't actually say anything in particular. He's just kind of vocalizing, like it doesn't actually mean anything.
That's not the answer, though.
Oh, really?
He actually does say something in Nightopian.
Okay, then
Do you know what it is? Can you guess?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna fail this, I think. What would he actually be saying in Nightopian? I don't know. I have no idea.
He says Betty Chinoa Nights, which is apparently come at me Knights, let's go Knights or whatever.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it is. I'll give you half credit though, because that's that little factoid is true. Everybody thought that he just says there is no Knights, and there was some kind of rip on Knights, but it was actually just gobbledygook Nightopian language,
Interesting.
So yeah,
Oh.
Bedicchanoa, Bedicchanoa is the word that he utters. So now you know.
Oh my goodness.
And now we are tied?
I think we must be, yeah.
Again? Or no, I think you're still a point up.
Well, this is the first one I've missed, and you got the date one incorrectly, so we might be tied here.
Okay. All right. I'm ready for yours.
Okay. There were only 3 games released with peripherals in the US where you got both the game and the peripheral in like one package. What were those 3 games?
Okay. And this isn't a trick question.
Nope, not a trick question.
So the first one would be Virtua Cop with the gun.
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
The Stunner. I don't know, it wasn't called the Virtua gun here, which would have made more sense. But anyway. Okay, so the Saturn Stunner. The next one I'm going to jump ahead because I'm pretty sure of this. It would be Sega Rally and the Netlink cart came together. There was a big box. It was a Netlink, and then packaged in, you had Sega Rally and Virtual On.
Nope.
Within the same box. But if that wasn't on your list, then that's then I've got two more to guess. Let me see. Could it have been Panzer Dragoon Zwei and the Mission Stick?
Nope.
No? Okay. I don't know that the Arcade Racer was ever packaged with anything.
So yeah, these answers aren't really trick questions. If you just think of the library, they're not,
Right. You might have stumped me. I'm trying to think of all the other peripherals that there are. Let's see here. Oh, of course, Nights into Dreams with the 3D control pad.
That's another one, yes.
Okay, see, now that's so funny because I'm not thinking of controller, like a standard like controller that would be put in your hands as like a peripheral, but it is. Yeah, no, it was a special control. Yeah. So I've got two there. The Virtual Gun.
That's 2 out of 3.
I got the 3D control pad. Okay, now think. Let's see. I'm not sure if any games ever shipped with the backup cart. I don't think so. I know some of those games came with like stickers for the cart, but not.
Right, that's true, yes. So think of one other game that would have been released with a peripheral. So you've got Virtua Cop and you've got Knights. But there was one other game that shipped, both separately as well as with the peripheral for the game.
Yeah, and I'm cheating, honestly. I'm looking over at my game shelf and I'm thinking to myself, which one could that be? And it's just not coming to me. I'm going to feel so stupid when you tell me. People listening are probably shouting it. Well, could there have been, was there a Virtua Stick along with the Virtua Fighter? No?
No.
Okay. I can't think of it at this moment, so I have to give up and let you tell folks.
So it was actually Virtua Cop 2. Virtua Cop 1 and Virtua Cop 2 each released either a standalone or with a stunner gun.
Okay.
So Virtua Cop 1, Virtua Cop 2, and Nights into Dreams were the 3 games that you could either get separately or with a peripheral. And it's funny that you brought up the Netlink, because the Netlink game pack, which had Sega Rally and Virtual On, was actually sold separately from the rest of the kit. Like you could get a Netlink separately from those 2 games. They're 2 separate boxes. So
I'm going to challenge you on that. But I still say I didn't get the question right because I didn't answer the.
Well, they're getting tricky now. I mean, you got 2 out of 3, so I mean, I don't know. Like that's definitely partial points.
But definitely, like, if anything, I hope folks learn something from this, because that's the point here is. No, I defer.
But I will check that afterwards.
I feel kind of silly for it taking me so long to get the 3D control pad, though, because like my wavelength, I was just not on that wavelength.
Yeah.
Okay, so you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. What pair of Saturn games were actually hidden unlockable features, and what commercially released Saturn games could they be found in?
Oh my, okay. Pair. I want to say Death Tank probably is one, and that would be found in copies of, at least Duke Nukem 3D and Quake, possibly even Power Slave. You know what? There were 2 Death Tanks, weren't there? There was a Death Tank and a Death Tank Zwei.
You're getting there.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that...
So what game was Death Tank in?
See, that must have been Power Slave then.
Right.
And then the second one would have been in the next 2 releases, which is Duke Nukem and...
Just Duke Nukem.
Not Quake, really?
No, just Duke Nukem, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's I just learned something.
To the best of my knowledge, unless somebody can prove me wrong, but I believe it was just Duke Nukem 3D. They skipped over Quake with that, but yeah. So Death Tank Zwei is unlocked. So you got it. I accept that answer. Yeah, Death Tank is unlockable in Power Slave, and then its sequel, which is up to 10-player multi. Mm-hmm. Is it 6 or is it 10? I think it supports a full 10-player multi-tap. It's a tank game. You fire artillery at each other. It's very simple, very crude, but it's a lot of fun.
But it's very addicting, isn't it? It's absolutely,
absolutely,
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So you got it.
Oh man. See, and I made some of my questions insanely difficult just because I know you know stuff. So,
Yeah, well, that's okay. I'm prepared to lose this match to you, but no, this is fun. I'm having fun. So go ahead, hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
okay, so Dave, everybody knows that the Saturn had hundreds of games more in Japan than ever came out in North America or in Europe, right?
Yes.
And there's so many games that we all wish would have been translated that hadn't been, and so on and so forth. But there was one game that came out in the West that actually had two official English translations, one in North America, one in Europe. And they were different. They were done completely independently, and so same game, but two completely different official translations. Which game is that?
Shining Wisdom?
Yes, it is Shining Wisdom. Well done.
Okay, wow, that I had to pull that out of the cobwebs, honestly. and I thought you were about to say that I was wrong.
No, that's correct. Yes. So Working Designs translated the North American game, and Sega Europe independently translated the European game. So, yep, same game and two completely different completely different. It's the same game, so you're going through the same story, but you can
But folks who are not a fan of Working Designs probably prefer the PAL version, right?
Yeah, so the PAL version sticks a lot closer to Shining lore, and they're using the correct names and so on and so forth.
Right.
However, it is riddled with grammatical inconsistencies and errors and mistakes that you actually didn't find in Working Designs' release. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I can't really say that one's better than the other, but yeah, two official but different translations. So, well done on that one.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, cool. Seat of my pants there. Okay, so question 7 for Peter. How many games supported the US Netlink modem, and what games were they?
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So
count on your fingers.
Yeah, if there weren't 20 plus.
Right.
So we had Duke Nukem 3D, we had Saturn Bomberman, that's 2. From Sega we had Sega Rally Netlink, Daytona Netlink, and Virtual On Netlink, that's 5. Sega Touring Car supported it as well.
Ding,
not necessarily
ding.
for Is that it? That's it, isn't it?
You got it.
That's
6 games in total.
Oh.
And one of them was just kind of supported without mentioning that it was supported.
Yeah, really. And that's funny because, most people don't think of that as a Netlink game. And yes, you can't race head to head, I suppose, but it
still supports the peripheral,
Yes.
I guess if you wanted to, now we could say also the Planet web browser, but that's not really a game, so I didn't include it.
That's fair. That's more of an application. How's that, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Okay. Well, you're just rocking and rolling, Peter. All right, I'm ready for the next one.
Everybody knows that Magic Knight Rayearth is the last game to come out in North America for the Saturn, but that was actually a third-party game. Dave, what is the last Sega-released game to come out here on the Saturn?
Shining Force 3.
Yes. Oh, too easy. You got it.
Of course, it was not the full game.
It was not the full game. No, sadly it wasn't. I wish that they had translated the other two officially, but, luckily there are fan translations out there that folks can play the other two scenarios.
And they should play the other ones. They should play Night of Dragons. They should not play the one that we got because you won't really know what the heck is going on. They changed the ending and changed a bunch of the dialogue and names and stuff to try to make it this self-contained experience, but then it just ends up not making sense.
Yeah, you know there's more there, and you wish that you could get more, and you can nowadays, but yeah, definitely back in the day that was a frustration. So all right, I'm ready for your next one. Hit me.
Okay. SGL, also known as Sega 3D Game Library and sometimes called Sega Graphics Library, was used in the making of polygonal 3D games on Saturn. What library was typically used in the making of 2D sprite-based games?
Oh, wow. 2D. Oh, my goodness. I mean, oh, geez. There's, I'm thinking of things like Soft Image. I'm thinking of things like,
Well, this is just a development library, so I'll give you a hint. It's that it's very similar to SGL, at least similar in name.
I think you've dug up something super obscure that I'm blanking on right now.
You give up?
It's probably Sega something library. But what is that something? Sega what?
So you had SGL for 3D stuff. And then what did you have for 2D stuff?
I mean, my goodness. Was it something like the Sega Design Library or whatever?
Oh, you're like a couple letters off.
Oh.
SBL. Sega Basic Library.
No kidding. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, my
God. Okay. Yeah, you were close. SDL, that
I mean, yeah,
Sega Design. Oh, it's very close,
No
it's
cigar on this one for me, though. My goodness. That's I appreciate these ones that are really making me kind of scratch my head, because there is still much I must learn. So thank you for that. Here's one for you. I think this is relatively easy, but it could be one of those things that just goes over people's heads sometimes. There was a game that was released in North America that had to eventually be pulled and reissued due to copyright infringement. And so there's one game that's been essentially released twice under different names. What is that game?
That would be Mysteria, which I guess infringed upon Mystara. Okay, so you had Mysteria, and I think it became Blazing Heroes.
Yes.
But it's better known as Riglord Saga in Japan.
Right. Yes, correct.
Yeah, so I think that Mysteria is graded slightly higher in terms of value. It might be negligible, but they like you said, they pulled it and then they rebranded it Blazing Heroes in the US. So there's probably more copies of Blazing Heroes out there than there are of Mysteria.
Mm-hmm.
Folks should try this game. I mean, it doesn't look great, I'm not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like Guardian War, is it, on the 3DO? It's like this very janky looking 3D isometric RPG akin to Shining Force 3, but of course Shining Force 3 is miles better in my opinion. But still, there's something to enjoy here. With the music is phenomenal, and yeah, don't you agree? Do you like? Do you like Mysteria?
It's a fun game. Whichever version folks play it, like the differences are super minimal. It's essentially names. Right. The title of the game is different. The land in the first issue was called Mysteria, but they, changed it to Old Land or whatever. So there were tiny little differences that they made, the changes that they made just to make sure that they didn't infringe on the copyright. And the copyright was by the
Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah,
Shadows over Mystara,
right? So
you had this Mysteria, the Realms of Lore, and then you had Shadows over Mystara, which was the Dungeons and Dragons property. Yeah. So.
But definitely, that is definitely a game that has some solid gameplay in it. And I mean, you're right; it's a little rough around the edges. Micro cabin,
only from a graphics standpoint. But if you allow yourself to get carried away, if you don't worry about the graphics too much and you just enjoy it for the gameplay, it's a good game. And there's really good music.
Yes, agreed. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. I did not think about that. When I was thinking about some of these questions and trying to find some good trivia questions, that's definitely one that I might have thought of for you, but I didn't. So I'm really glad you. So far, I'm really excited that we haven't repeated each other's questions, because I thought for sure one of us are going to like repeat the other person's question. The Acclaim thing was the closest we came.
Yeah, fair.
We both had Acclaim as the answer. All right. Okay. Here is your next one. Sega had a history of publishing more mature content than that of its competitor Nintendo, and this landed them in hot water with the US Senate, eventually resulting in the ESRB ratings board that we know today. However, for a very brief time, Sega applied its own self-policing label to just a select few mature games. What was that label called?
Oh my gosh. And I know exactly.
And when I say select few, I mean like very select
very few, right?
So this was Sega's own in-house, slap themselves on the hand, kind of like, this is our own label to let people know that this is a mature title.
Oh my god, is it the Video Game Rating Council?
No.
No, okay.
No, you can find this on, here's your last hint. You can find it on one commercially released Saturn game and one canceled Saturn game. And you can also find it on a Genesis game. 3 games in total.
No way. Oh my goodness, on a commercially released Saturn game.
Correct. That's sitting on your shelf over there somewhere.
Oh wow. So it must be an early release.
Moreover, it's one we already talked about in this cast.
Oh gosh. Okay. I mean, and it would have been a mature rating, hey?
Mature rating. Game we've talked about, we've mentioned in this cast.
It wouldn't be Power Slave, would it? No, that's not. No, let me just think now, and we've even mentioned it. Oh my goodness. It would be first party, I would imagine. It would have to be first party. Oh, now I'm cheating. I'm looking on my shelf.
That's fine, you're allowed.
And my shelf is like, far away. I'm not gonna...
That's okay. You're allowed, as long as you're not looking it up on Google or anything.
Oh, this is really...
So what mature title have we discussed in this cast? You mentioned Power Slave. It was another game.
Was it Duke Nukem?
Good guess.
No way. It couldn't have been.
Sure.
Wow. And it had its own rating. No, I did not know that.
Do you want to go look?
I kind of do now.
Okay, go. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da.
So, what I've got on the box, though, is an ESBR rating.
Right. There's something else there, though?
Is it on the back of the box?
Your time is almost up.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's like there's like a little logo there, right on the box. Unless the Canadian box is somehow different than the US box.
Well, now I'm really wondering, because I'm not seeing anything obvious at all.
On the Duke Nukem box. You see a little tag that says Deep Water?
Yes. Deep Water.
That's it.
Are you serious?
Deep Water. Deep Water was on Eternal Champions, which was canceled for Saturn.
Oh.
And then it was also on Experts on the Sega Genesis. And it was their own little mature rating, Deep Water. Like, don't have the kids play in the deep water,
No way.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's so obscure. Like I can see why it failed as a label, because it's like, what's this? This must just be like a middleware company, or it must be like just another part of the publishing or something like that. Nope, it was like a ratings label.
No way. Okay, see, that got me. That I did not know.
Well, now you know.
Because I would have absolutely thought that this was just like, some developer that maybe lent some support to the development of this software or whatever. But you're right, now that I think about it.
It was Lobotomy that did Duke Nukem 3D.
Of course.
Yeah. So now you know something new.
Wow. You have totally... That's amazing. That is amazing. I did not know that.
Crazy, right?
Crazy.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was good. It was good. Folks know along with us, I'm ready for my next one.
What have I not asked you yet? Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about game manuals. So most game manuals, in fact, almost all game manuals were black and white on the inside, with the exception of course, Working Designs. They made theirs full color, everything like that. But there was one other manual on a standard North American Saturn game that was full color on the inside. That was not a Working Designs manual. Any idea what that game is?
Wow. And I feel like I should know this. I admit that I would be guessing.
Well, for what it's worth, it's not a game that's going to make anybody's top 10 list.
You know what's funny? I think it's the original pack-in Virtua Fighter. It's color on the inside. It's like fold out, and it's in color.
You know, that's not the answer I thought of, but you're actually absolutely right. Virtua Fighter, the original pack-in, did have a sort of color fold-out poster / manual. So, I mean, that's not incorrect.
But that's not the answer.
That's
though.
not what I was looking for. I'm thinking of just a standard North American long box release that does have a full color manual, and it is not, because all the working designs had that.
Okay.
But this is not a working designs title, and it's the only one I can think of
that does this.
That did full color on every page, yeah. But, you know, great call out with Virtua Fighter, because, I mean, yeah, in essence, that is correct.
My God, I mean, without really being able to look at my games and, like, open them up, I really am just going to be guessing here. And I'm trying to remember back to, like, reading through these manuals, if I ever happened to, you know, notice a game that was like that. Yeah, you know, I don't want to stall for time. I think I'll just put a guess out there. And why don't I go with Scud, the disposal assassin? I don't know.
Yeah, so the correct answer is Crusader No Remorse.
Oh my goodness, seriously?
Yeah, they had a...
Wow.
Like, completely unexpected, right? Like, it wasn't exactly like a super huge, awesome mega release. It wasn't, you know, it was a multi-platform game.
And they made a huge mistake on the front of that cover. Like they made a huge like layer, Photoshop layer mistake with the stripes behind the... Yeah, so but then on top of all that, they went ahead and published a full color manual. Wow. You stumped me, Peter. I did not know that, but I know it now. That's crazy.
Super unusual facts, right? So,
you know, I think that proves that I've never actually looked at the inside of Crusader No Remorse. I probably need to in order to play the game well, but
yeah, no, fair enough. And that's the thing, like, manuals were such a thing back then, you know, and
they sure were.
Working Designs took that to the next level, of course, and they did have amazing manuals.
Yeah.
But yeah, these guys, and you know, there were others that were done in a very sort of stylish way, like Wipeout had a pretty stylish manual, but they were all black and white with the exception of
even Panzer Dragoon Saga was in black and white. I was even thinking for a moment maybe like what is that, Warcraft 2? That's another like PC game, but I couldn't remember, and no, I don't think it was color. So yeah, but Crusader No Remorse, that was a PC game, PC port, right? Yeah,
it was.
So crazy. Yes. Never would have guessed. That's right? Crazy.
It's just so out of left field.
All right, are you ready for this one?
Let's do it.
All right. What is the name of the unlockable game hidden within Saturn's BIOS, where you get to pilot the 3D polygonal spaceship from the Saturn's dashboard screensaver?
Oh, you know, Dave, I could tell you, but then all the people listening to us are going to go, what? I didn't know. So let's just do this. Let's reveal it on our website on SEGASaturnShiro.com on April the 1st of next year. Okay, because
no, you don't get out that easily. You still have to answer what the name is. You can reveal what I'm talking about, but you have to tell me what the name is. You know it.
So the name of the spaceship game?
Yeah. The name of the unlockable game hidden in Saturn's BIOS.
Oh my gosh. So I'm not sure how to answer this. So
you remember, right? You remember the art, you remember the little blurb in CBG, right? You remember what they called it?
What did they call it?
Afterburner 3000 AD.
Oh gosh.
Okay, I'm going to give this one to you because I didn't fool you. Like, Peter knows exactly what I'm talking about. In an issue of Computer and Video Games magazine, April 1996, April Fools, they published an April Fool's joke where they told everybody that you could pilot the 3D spaceship in the Saturn's BIOS. And so many folks tried this like code, entering in this like really obscure random code, you know, of combination of buttons, you know, and then were really pissed off when they found out that it was just an April Fool's joke.
But you know what? It was a higher quality joke than for a while there was a thing about how a Saturn can play Genesis games, firstly, and secondly, there was the Nude Raider code.
Oh yes.
Like, to me, that was, that's, but this seemed a little bit more believable, especially since,
Oh, they made screenshots.
yes, and I mean, Sega had done this in the past,
They
so
gave you screenshots, and there was like the rise from your grave. There was like all these like little nods to Sega and stuff and like that. They went all out, to like make this
yeah,
thing believable. That's funny.
definitely. So, it wasn't just because, there was some little blurb in there and people were foolish. They definitely did. They did do their homework with it.
So it was a trick question. But Peter still got it.
Ugh.
You didn't get it. You didn't get the name though, but I'm still gonna give it to you because, like I say, I didn't really fool anybody. Afterburner 3000 AD.
Well, I think we've just done all 10 of each of our questions, have we?
Oh, because you went first.
I went first.
Well, if you want, I have a bonus question.
I do too, so I'll ask mine first.
You can make up that loss.
Yeah, well, okay. So this one, it's a bit of an obscure one for sure. There weren't very many demo discs in North America, but there were a lot more in Europe, actually, and tons in Japan. So, us North Americans kind of missed out. What one game was featured, like what demo of a game was featured on a European demo disc, and that game ended up subsequently being canceled on the Saturn?
Okay, we're talking about a game that was featured on one of Europe's demo discs for the magazine,
right?
Or it was obtained somehow else, but not OSSM, right? Like Saturn. What was that other one? That other magazine?
I think
Saturn Power probably
was magazine mounted. Yes.
This is
Saturn Power.
This memory is repressed.
I think it was Saturn Power that featured it. Yes, but I'm actually, to be honest with you, not 100% on that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was a demo disc that had several, tiny little playable bits of, various games, and there was one game there that was scheduled for the Saturn, was in development. They put it on the demo disc, and then it ended up being canceled and was never released in any region whatsoever.
But you got a demo of it.
Yeah.
It was a demo, or was it just video?
You mean, was it playable? I'm pretty sure it was playable. And it's a sequel to a game that came out on the Saturn, if that helps.
Man. Sequel to Tomb Raider 2. No, I'm just kidding. No.
No, not Tomb Raider 2.
Resident Evil 2. No.
No.
It was a sequel, though. Dang. Why does this elude me? Wow. I think I give up.
So the game that was on the demo is called Reloaded. Sequel Loaded.
And say what now? Loaded? It was Reloaded.
Reloaded was the sequel, yes. Yeah.
Sequel to Loaded. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And it makes sense because the folks in PAL Territories love that game. I'm not a big fan of Loaded, but
not a fan myself.
It did well over there, for whatever reason.
Definitely.
Yes. So yeah, no, that's crazy. Okay, hey, I learned something new today. Okay, I'm gonna give you one more. I hope that this is accurate. I hope I'm not asking you an impossible question, but we'll see how you do. Name 5 devices, 5 peripherals, 5 pieces of hardware that implement the Saturn's serial port.
Wow. Okay, so the floppy disk drive, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Check.
That's 1. The Tizen cable, the battle cable, that's 2.
Check.
There is a printer device that you can connect to the Saturn.
Check.
That goes with a program, so that's 3. I should know this. There is a like a MIDI port peripheral that you can plug into the serial port.
Check.
So that you can connect to keyboard and other MIDI devices to the Saturn. So that's 4. Holy smokes, what else uses that port? Printer, Tizen cable, floppy disk drive, MIDI adapter. Oh, geez. Oh, my goodness. There's a fifth one, and I don't know what it is. Do you know if there's more than 5, or
I don't think so.
Or 5 is the number?
I don't think there's more than 5.
And I'm trying to think, like, there's some pretty obscure peripherals out in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, there's a pachinko controller, there's like a train controller, there's all this stuff, but none of that, as far as I remember, uses the serial port.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the MIDI, you got the printer, you got the Tizen cable, you got the floppy disk drive, and
you know, this is gonna really pick my brain now. And Game Basic, I'm just looking at some
that's what it was. It was Game Basic comes with a serial to like
yes,
like Saturn serial to PC serial.
yes, yeah,
That is it. Yep. Commercially released.
yeah, because Game Basic and then Koei did their own, which did the printer,
Right.
and so those were the two different ones. And then there was the MIDI one, which was
Right.
that was for that one game that came with that big giant keyboard, Let's Make Music, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I think,
and there may have actually been 2 releases that.
Right, Waka was the Korean company that made that. So one of the printers, I think there was a pre-fund printer, and then there was like the Canon printer for Eggward, and one of them just used AV for the output, but the other one used serial port. So I'm pretty sure, that at least one printer counts for using the serial port. But yeah, so cool, you did it, you got it. You win the prize of like most knowledgeable Saturn fan.
Oh, you know what though? This was really fun because there were a few things that you stumped me with that I learned that I didn't know. Like, who would have thought about the Deep Water logo on Duke Nukem? I had no idea. So
yeah.
So you came up with some pretty solid questions. So this was fun. This was a lot of fun.
I have to say, like, you're justified in your confusion, because even Sam Pettis himself, who the scribe, the guy who wrote Service Games, The Rise and Fall of Sega, even he thought that Deep Water was like a developer name for Eternal Champions, and misquotes it in his book. It refers to Deep Water as like a developer, when in fact it was just a mature, like a little self-policing mature label in that kind of interim period where they hadn't really established, where basically Sega promised the Congress that they would, make sure that they regulated themselves, that was like their promise with a slap on the wrist or whatever. And then of course the ESRB became a thing, and the rest is history, but yeah, so it's crazy the things that, it was confusing for sure, so.
Yeah, no, that was wild.
That's crazy about
Sega Basic Library. That's going to pick my butt now too.
Sega Basic Library. Yeah. Hey, but now you know. And what was the one that you, I never would have guessed Crusader No Remorse. Wow.
Such an odd thing, right?
It's such an odd thing, true, because you're right. Like, it was really only, working designs that spared that expense, to do full color.
Yeah, well, but this was pretty fun. So we will have to, at some point in the future, come up with more obscure questions. Or what would be fun is if we got sent in obscure questions by listeners that we could both tackle, because I think that would be a lot of fun too. If
that would be a lot of fun,
right?
Assuming don't go too hard on us. I'm glad that you made them stuff that I could actually, that I had some chance of getting. I was really surprised that I remembered that about Shining Wisdom, but like I say, some of these factoids are just kind of like filed way back in the cobwebs, and I have to be like, hey, you get over here. I haven't used this piece of information in 10 years, but yeah, I need you now. I'm calling on you now.
And neither of us duplicated questions, which was pretty cool too. We came close with a claim on a couple of them, but yeah, we each had unique questions, so that's pretty awesome. So
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, anyway, to everyone listening out there, it's been Saturn Dave and Peter reminding you that you must play your Sega Saturn. And until next time, we'll see you later.
We will see you later. And if you don't play your Saturn, you'll be in deep water.